How tough is a Chevy pickup? This completely stock four-wheel drive Chevy pickup is pulling an American Airlines 747 luxury liner with its jet engine shut down. Over 460,000 pounds of airplane. The Chevy is equipped with a 350 cubic inch V8 and turbo hydromatic transmission, and it's loaded to its 7,500 pound capacity. If you want toughness in a pickup, choose the one that's tough enough to move a 747.
You're looking at a 187-ton log train, and we're about to pull it with our tough new Chevy Cheyenne. It's a 3/4-ton pickup like this, with full-time four-wheel drive and standard 350 V8 engine, equipped with options you can order through any Chevrolet dealer. We've also added auxiliary rear springs because we're overloading far beyond normal capacity. Watch. They're moving. Our 3/4-ton Chevy Cheyenne is actually pulling 187 tons on this level road. Obviously, we don't recommend you abuse your truck like this, but we do want to show you in a dramatic way how tough we build our Chevy trucks.
The iconic commercials you just watched were put out by GM in the 70s to advertise their line of pickup trucks. However, in this video, I do not intend to talk about those trucks. You may have noticed the consistent factor between these trucks, the 350 cubic inch engine. Growing up in Missouri, I may have bias. This engine has been praised for its reliability, dependability, and ease of working on. The 350 comes from a line of engines known as the small block Chevy, or SBC. The SBC line is the most produced engine in automotive history, and the 350 is the most produced of the SBCs. But is the 350 the greatest engine of all time? Is the 350 the Tom Brady of engines? I want to start off by saying I might be biased. As stated, I grew up in the Midwest where this engine is present in nearly every household, or every household has owned a 350 at some point. I mean, come on. I daily drive a 95 K1500 that, as you guessed, has a 350 small block. So remember, this is my opinion, and the beautiful thing is that you can disagree. Your idea of the perfect engine might be a 5.7 Hemi, and in my opinion, you'd be a moron. But you're absolutely entitled to that opinion, and I'm entitled to mine. The 350 was produced from 1967 to 2004, first introduced in the 1967 Camaro SS, where it produced 295 horsepower and 380 foot-pounds of torque, placing it among some of the most powerful of the time. However, I plan to talk about the more utilitarian uses the engine took on, which, if I'm not mistaken, were where the 350 was sold more anyway. I feel like it was much better known for its use in trucks rather than cars. To see its first application in utility vehicles, we have to move up to 1969 in the CK series pickup trucks. The engine built for Chevrolet trucks was the LS9 350, not to be confused with the 2000s LS engine series. This engine was produced specifically for trucks from 1969 to 1986. If you know somebody with a square body CK10 Chevy, this is probably the power plant it came from factory with, and possibly even the engine currently bolted in. This engine was fitted with a 4-barrel Rochester carburetor and produced 165 horsepower and 275 foot-pounds of torque. It wasn't near as powerful as the numerous Corvette and Camaro variants, but this engine got the job done and earned a great reputation as a reliable and easy to work on engine, with plenty of room for modification. The LT9 was produced from 1981 to 1986 and was used for heavier duty vehicles such as the CK20 and 30s. Ironically, the numbers for this engine were slightly lower, with 160 horsepower and 250 foot-pounds of torque. More than 5,000 of these engines were produced each day, and I would argue these are the engines that made the 350. They weren't power monsters, but reliable engines that would take punishment and keep on trucking without a shrug, paving the way for the abundance of them still on the road now. The L05 would release in 1987 with a new set of heads and a brand new throttle body fuel injection system. It has been reported that one of these engines reached the 1 million mile club, and if that's not a testament to just how ridiculously reliable these engines are, then I don't know what to tell you. This engine produced 210 horsepower and 300 foot-pounds of torque. Now I believe this is what my truck currently has, but I'm not 100% sure because it isn't the original engine. All I know is I have a 350 TBI, and to me this really is the last great 350. It retains that sound that really screams 350, and you'll come to realize I love the sounds of these engines. I was initially going to rip the video from the internet, but then I remembered I own one of these, and it'd probably be better just to show you the sound with mine. So you get to listen to my 2:30 in the morning cold start with all of its power steering pump whining glory and no muffler. That slow, guttural idle of these TBI and carved engines are something the Vortec just doesn't have. But the Vortec is no slouch when it comes to keeping the 350 reputation intact. The L31 5700 Vortec was the last 350 made by GM. It got its own new set of heads with central port fuel injection. The new Vortec produced 255 horsepower with 330 foot-pounds of torque. The Vortec heads are loved by most Chevy enthusiasts for their great airflow. The Vortec was also loved for its higher power and efficiency. This engine, as stated, would conclude the production of the 350 small block after over 45 million units were produced from the Flint, Michigan plant alone. So the 350, is it the Tom Brady of engines? Yeah, and I think you knew I was going to say that. And there is not a take out there that's going to change the way I feel about this engine. And the 350 being Brady, the small block Chevy family is the 2007 Patriots. These were the greatest engines ever produced. Their reliability is near unmatched, and they never failed to impress beyond what their horsepower numbers suggest. Not to get too sappy here, I think most of my and a few other people I know's love for this engine comes more from memories than actual performance. I grew up hearing my dad talk about them like they were the greatest thing to touch this earth. I think a lot of people around my area's best memories are working on these engines with someone that meant something to them. Whether that was your dad, your grandpa, your mom, or your grandma. These are more than just engines to people like us. So many of them were produced that a lot of us learned to work on these specifically. They gained personality, or aura for you younger ones out there. They hold a special place in so many people's hearts, getting you home after a rough day and surprising you with just how cheap and readily available the parts are. Which, by the way, is nice for a guy who decided a 1967 Buick LeSabre with a 340 was a good first car. I bet most of even you car guys have never heard of that engine, and that'll have to be its own video. I'd like to make some videos about my vehicles in the future, and if you're new here, let me know if you'd like to see that. Now, it's a good thing I can't make money off these videos, because if I could, I would not. I gotta learn how to stop using copyrighted music, but I don't know, man, I get all up in my feels. But anyway, that's just about it for this video. Thank you guys all for watching, and I will see y'all in the next one.
I'm the part of you that you listen to riding in the radio all night.